You ever hold something that shouldn't exist? A fragment of metal older than the compass, gears carved centuries before the first clock was ever built, objects sleeping on the ocean floor that make history blink, as if the sea itself has been keeping secrets from time. Today, we dive into shipwrecks that feel like messages sent through time, filled with objects so advanced, so misplaced, that they shouldn't exist at all. And stay till the end, because the last artifact I'll tell you about, found tangled in bronze and coral, rewrote human history itself. Scientists still argue whether it's a relic or a riddle. Welcome back to the channel, the home of history's strangest truths and ocean's forgotten stories. If you love mysteries that make you question everything we thought we knew, hit that subscribe button, because here we don't just chase treasure, we dive into human time itself. And one day, when the ocean finally gives up all its secrets, you'll be able to say, you were here when it began. The Bronze Age's global market that shouldn't exist. Imagine this, a wooden ship sinks off the coast of Turkey, 3,300 years ago. When divers found it in 1982, they didn't find gold or jewels. They found a world map made of cargo, 10 tons of copper, a full ton of tin, Egyptian scarabs, Baltic amber, African ebony, and Canaanite jars filled with resin. Goods from 7 civilizations, all on a single ship that sailed the Mediterranean before most nations even existed. This wasn't just a merchant's cargo. It was proof that global trade, the kind we associate with the Silk Road, already existed 13 centuries before Rome. It took more than 22,000 dives across 11 summers to bring her story back to light. Each amphora, each bronze tool was lifted with airlifts and vacuum dredges, documented grid by grid like a crime scene. Archaeologists built underwater scaffolding to stabilize fragile wood beams that crumbled on contact with oxygen. It became the most meticulous underwater excavation in history. Until Olubarun, we believed the Bronze Age world was fragmented. But this ship says otherwise. It tells us that a global network already pulsed beneath the waves, long before recorded history admitted it. And if trade was that advanced, what else might have been? The Tong treasure in an Arabian ship. In 1998, fishermen off Java caught their nets on what looked like stones. But when divers descended, they found a porcelain, thousands of pristine Tang Dynasty bowls from China, inside an Arabian dhow. That shouldn't be possible. Chinese ceramics, Islamic coins, and African ivory, all resting together in a single shipwreck from 826 AD. It shattered our understanding of how connected the 9th century world really was. This was one of the rare times archaeology collided with commercial salvage. A private company recovered the cargo, then partnered with scientists to preserve it. Every piece was soaked for months in desalination tanks, layer by layer, freed from coral and salt. Experts mapped chemical pigments to trace where the cobalt blue had come from, and discovered it wasn't Chinese at all, but Persian. This wasn't just trade, it was globalization before we had a word for it. Each bowl was hand-painted, probably meant for the table of a merchant, a governor, or a bride in a faraway port. Imagine, someone once bought that bowl with hope, maybe to serve food for their family. 1,000 years later, the sea still holds that moment, perfectly preserved.
Now picture this, the Aegean Sea, 1907. Sponge divers go looking for sponges and stumble upon marble torsos and bronze statues resting like ghosts on the ocean floor. It turned out to be the Madia Shipwreck, a Roman cargo vessel carrying the most exquisite Greek sculptures ever discovered, bound for Italy around 80 BCE. But a storm sent the ship to the bottom before the art could ever reach its patron. Early divers wore heavy brass helmets, air pumped through hand-cranked hoses from the surface. Each statue, some weighing over a ton, had to be wrapped in chains and winched up by primitive cranes through green water and crashing waves. It took 6 years. Every piece was then stabilized in freshwater baths for decades to remove salt before museum display. Many of the sculptures were original Greek works, not Roman copies, proving that original masterpieces still traded centuries after their creation. The cargo reads like a collector's shopping list of genius, a floating art gallery that never reached its destination. The sea had cradled those statues like sleeping gods, their eyes gone, their faces eroded, yet their beauty still breathing. To look at them today is to look into the face of a civilization that refused to die. Now we move from marble to ice. In 1845, Sir John Franklin and 128 men set sail to find the Northwest Passage and vanished. For over 150 years, no one knew what became of them, until 2014, when a sonar image revealed a ghostly outline beneath the Arctic ice. The HMS Erebus, perfectly preserved in the cold silence of Canada's northern sea. Boots still lined up under hammocks, medicine bottles sealed tight, teacups, spectacles, even a small brass bell with its clapper intact. Everyday things, still waiting for their owners to return. Parks Canada's underwater archaeologists used ROVs and high-frequency sonar to map the interior before touching a single object. They excavated slowly through layers of silt, each artifact logged in 3D and lifted in custom cases to prevent collapse under pressure changes. The Arctic ice acted like a freezer. The wood, textiles, even paper survived. It's a museum locked in ice. Proof that tragedy can sometimes preserve what time destroys. Among the finds was a personal journal, the last words of a man watching his world end in snow and silence. It's impossible to read and not feel the pulse of human fragility, the stubborn courage that drives people into the unknown.
And now, the one that shook science to its core. Found by chance in 1900 near the Greek island of Antikythera, divers discovered the remains of an ancient Roman-era shipwreck filled with bronze statues, jewelry, amphorae, and a lump of corroded metal. At first, it looked meaningless, just rock fused with bronze, until someone noticed gears. Inside that corroded mass lay something the world had never seen. A mechanical computer built more than 2,000 years ago. When scanned with modern X-rays, scientists saw intricate gear teeth, perfectly measured rings, and Greek inscriptions that matched lunar and planetary cycles. It could predict eclipses, track the motion of planets, and even model the future sky, built in an age when most people still believed the Earth was flat. No mechanism anywhere near its complexity appeared again for at least 1,500 years, not until the medieval astronomical clocks of Europe. It's as if someone dropped a 17th century Swiss watch into the wreck of an ancient Greek ship. Early Greek sponge divers risked their lives at depths of 150 feet using primitive gear. Several died bringing the bronze fragments up in 1900 to 1901. Later, Jacques Cousteau's 1970s expeditions rediscovered the site, raising additional artifacts. In the 21st century, archaeologists returned with advanced ROVs, metal detectors, and photogrammetry drones, mapping every grain of sand around the wreck. The mechanism was reconstructed virtually, gear by gear, using 3D scans and CT imaging. And now, only a portion of it has been found, implying there may still be more pieces waiting below. Think about this. Somewhere, 2 millennia ago, a craftsman built this device by hand, a person who looked up at the same sky you see tonight and decided to trap the universe inside a box of bronze. We don't even know his name, but through salt, shipwreck, and centuries, his creation survived, whispering one thing: we were never as primitive as history makes us seem. The ocean doesn't keep secrets. It keeps memories. Each artifact we lift is a reminder that time is not a straight line. It bends, loops, and sometimes sinks. If you felt something, if these stories made you look at the sea differently, subscribe, because every week we dive into the impossible, searching for the next object that shouldn't exist, but does. I'll leave you with this question. If a single shipwreck can rewrite our past, what other truths still sleep beneath the waves? Until next time, keep wondering, keep watching, and keep diving deep.